Welcome back to part two of the Green Bay Lions game is starting. True. I stuck with Detroit. I stuck with Detroit personally. Also, I put it up just a little bit. All right, here we go. Part two, ladies and gentlemen, of Red J watches the second Republican primary debate. So far, it's kind of a banger. If I were to pick a first place, I'm liking Chris Christie and Nikki Haley's good. It's just, I don't know. DeSantis is saying nothing. Vivek is like literally on one. What else? Jones playing though? Yeah, we'll have to see. Jones is the running back, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. They say he had he had a very little time to recover. Joe Biden is stuck in the basement. Biden's in the basement. Trump's hiding behind his his golf courses. I don't know. I'm liking Christie. I don't know. Christie said some shit, and then yeah, we'll see.
Library for the second Republican presidential debate.
Here we go.
Everyone, there's 1 minute for questions, 3 seconds for a follow-up, and the more you mention each other, that means the fewer questions you're going to get. Okay, so we want to talk about crime. This has been a horrendous problem
in our
country with the Fox News and
Who's
others
crime?
Covering it. Governor Christie. Crime in major cities is striking fear into the hearts of Americans. Just last night, looters took over the streets of Philadelphia. You said in the last debate that you would use U.S. attorneys to prosecute crimes local prosecutors won't. But they are stretched as well, and they could not handle all of the lawlessness, the shoplifting, all the carjackings, the armed robberies. They're all surging. Progressive prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, the only one on this stage who's done it. For 7 years, I ran the 5th largest office in this country at the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, and we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken. And the reason was that we went after the crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back under control. The fact is, they will be stretched. There's no doubt about that, but that's what they take the job for, because they love the idea of enforcing the law. We've got to bring law and order back to this country, and not just in our cities, but we need law and order back everywhere. We need law and order back in our suburbs. People are threatened there. We need it in our rural areas. People feel threatened there. And we need it in Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look in that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight. Not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And
yeah.
Let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
It's not even funny, but just the way his facial expression. We're going to call you. Wait, I got to see that again.
What's going to happen? You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right.
I don't even fucking get it, but he's so confident.
As president, you would not
oh, because he's ducking. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Because he's ducking the debates. Oh, okay, all right. That's it. He won. It's over. Go home. We have our winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the new president of the United States, Chris Christie.
Of the criminals, they just get out and come back and commit another crime.
Well, the crime in these cities is one of the strongest signs of the decaying of America. We can't be successful as a country if people aren't even safe to live in.
I'm actually surprised that it happened in Philly, though. Which state has that law where, like, you can steal goods under a certain amount? And is it California? They implemented a new law because the jails were getting too full with criminal activity. Was it? I don't know. I don't remember.
In places like Los Angeles and San Francisco, just being in Southern California over the last couple of days, my wife and I have met 3 people who have been mugged on the street, and that would have never happened 10 or 20 years ago. In Florida, we back the blue. We support the men and women of law enforcement.
They'll shoot you if you do that in Florida, I think.
50-year low in the crime rate. And yes, when I had 2 progressive
Yikes, you don't want to do that in Florida.
I removed them from their posts, and the people of Florida are safer as a result of it. As president, I will use the Justice Department to bring civil rights cases against all of those left-wing Soros-funded prosecutors. We're not going to let them get away with it anymore. We want to reverse this country's decline. We need to choose law and order over rioting and disorder.
On a related subject, Governor Haley, there's a nationwide policing shortage. Retirements are up. Recruitment is in the tank. Morale is at a record low. 3 years ago, you signed a pledge to support law enforcement. Now, pledges are a nice idea.
My throat is like,
your actual plan
I think
to
I'm
get more police
too loud.
on our streets?
Well, and I actually did it in South Carolina, too. You know, what we knew in South Carolina was you take care of those who take care of you. We have to start taking care of law enforcement, but it's not just taking care of them with words. It's making sure that you also follow through on what they do. Right now, we have a lot of stolen guns on the street. Well, these law enforcement officers, they arrest these people, and then they go and they're let out the very next day. So law enforcement feels like no one has their back. We have to start prosecuting according to the law. We have to make sure we have the backs of law enforcement, and we have to make sure that we're a country of law and order. But I want to go back to China because I don't think we spent enough time on that. Right now, we have to look at what government's doing to hurt us against China, too. You have a company, U.S. Antibiotics, that produces amoxicillin, the #1 antibiotic that we need. And right now, there is a company in Bristol, Tennessee, that produces that. Yet our federal government only gets it from China. We need to be focusing on companies that produce in America and supporting those companies that produce in America, not companies that are helping China.
They're getting the drugs from China, too?
Yes, thank you, Stuart. We're going to stay in the topic of crime because it affects all of us. Governor Bergen, for the first time ever, a Univision poll found that mass shootings and gun safety are one of the most important issues for Latino voters. Mental health concerns are not unique to the United States, but gun violence is. What is your specific plan to curb gun violence?
Well, first we need to know is understand is I think that the liberal left seems to be just completely bent on prosecuting law-abiding citizens that are gun owners because every solution
this guy you don't like him
is take away
he's very
the
successful
rights of Americans, and some seems to be just completely
you don't like this guy Doug Burgum. He's very successful, but yeah, he kind of gives off like Friday Night at Freddy's, Five Nights, what's that game called? Show me his neck. Doug, I think he wants your neck, Doug Burgum. American businessman, investor, philanthropist, and politician. Member of the Republican Party, Burgum was early life and education, business, Great Plains Software, Microsoft. After the sale, Burgum was named Senior Vice President of Microsoft Business Solutions Group, the offshoot created from merging Great Plains. In March 1983, Burgum mortgaged $250,000 of farmland to provide the seed capital for the accounting software company Great Plains Software in Fargo, North Dakota. He became the company's president in 1984 after leading a small group of family members in buying out the rest of the company. During the 1980s, Fortune magazine often ranked Great Plains Software among the nation's top 100 companies to work for. Burgum grew the company to about 250 employees by 1989 and led it to about $300 million in annual sales at a 1997 IPO. after using the internet to help it expand beyond North Dakota. In 1999, the company acquired Match Data Systems, a development team in the Philippines. In 2001, Burgum sold Great Plains software to Microsoft for $1.1 billion. He has said he built the company in Fargo because of his proximity to North Dakota State University, which acted as a feeder school in order to employ its stream of engineering students. Ah, shit. That was smart. He built his company next to the university, and he probably had, like, people, like... Okay, that's pretty big brain. I'm not going to lie.
Abiding citizens that are gun owners, because every solution they have to this is take away the Second Amendment rights of Americans, and somehow that's going to solve the problem. But all these cities that we're talking about that he showed the videos of tonight, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. So we know that that's not what's working. What we have to do is get back to the core issues about the family. We have to get back to behavioral health and mental health. We've got to get back to actually enforcing the laws these people talked about. And like we've done in North Dakota, where we've got the goal and we're on the track to being the most military-friendly state in the nation. We've got the most military the most support of what we're doing in terms of law enforcement, because
does he mean the morale providing to the Ukraine?
Because we've been defunding the police, because they've been attacked in the press. The police have become the bad guys when they're the one. There's all these jobs available in America. Why would you be a policeman if people don't even respect them? Every time I see a policeman, the first thing I say is thank you. And so does everybody else in my family and most of the people in our state, because they know we have to respect the people that are out there defending us every single day.
Can I answer the question on mass shootings?
Man, I know everybody hates, like, policemen and stuff like that. And, like, you kind of... most policemen that I've met here in Canada are, like, really friendly, or either don't, like, give a shit. But I know I've had instances, like... Okay, I got some packet loss. Like, close members of my family have had bad encounters with the police, but, like, I don't think that job is... I honestly don't know why anyone would, like, would go into that line of work. It sounds exhausting, and, like, you're treated poorly. And if you do it right, like, you don't really get anything in return except the guarantee that, like, because you get a discount on donuts. Does Dunkin' Donuts have a special that I'm unaware of? all policemen 50% off? Okay, if that's the case, then yeah. I don't know. It's tough. With the cops, it's very difficult, man. Because on one side, you have them, like, overworked, stressed, and dealing with, like, some of the most difficult people that... Like, not all cops. I know there are those cops that have, like, cushy ass, like, but like, those are the cops that, like, the media like to push down your throat. Like, oh, look at this guy. Like, it's not representative of, like, the entire cop population, and then they get a bad rap. It's just unfortunate.
Mr. Ramaswamy, according to Customs and Border Protection, about 90%
it's a tough
of
scene.
fentanyl is seized at official border crossings.
What is this fentanyl? Why wasn't Walter White making fentanyl? I should ask my brother. He's a pharmacist. Fentanyl. I maybe I shouldn't be Googling all this shit. Yikes. What is fentanyl? Okay, I guess I'm level one reading. What is fentanyl? Fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid drug approved by the FDA. Oh, you guys approved it. Why are you so upset? You approved it for use as an analgesic, pain relief, and anesthetic. Are you sure it's not your own people that are abusing this shit? Fentanyl patches are very popular. It's an opioid. It's like the... Oxycontin. It's literally like, this story is as old as time, bro. Morphine, methadone. They're like temporary pain relief. Like, all right, I see what's going on here.
7% of
I hear it's very good for back pain. I'm sure it is temporarily.
How would you
know what else is good for back pain? Fucking yoga and stretching.
Mostly by U.S. citizens through ports of entry.
There's two sides to this, and we have to be very honest about it. One is we do have to seal that southern border. Building the wall is not enough.
I thought he wasn't going to talk about the border.
Underneath that wall,
I got worried.
Semi-trucks can drive through them. We have to use our own military to seal the Swiss cheese of a southern border. But we also have to be honest.
Cheese.
There's a demand side problem in this country, too. A mental health epidemic. I met family and I.
Amen. In Canada, too.
Kathy and Derek. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet
Bro,
on
he used...
Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl.
He said the exact... This guy's reusing his own content. I swear he said the exact same thing in the first debate. I could be tripping.
That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug overdose. That is poisoning. So it is our job to make sure that never happens. But it's also our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health care in this country, not with pumping pharmaceuticals, but with faith-based approaches that restore purpose and meaning in the next generation of Americans. Many of them are getting it through social media. And this isn't a Republican point or a Democrat point, but if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period. This is something that we can both agree on, and we can revive both the mental health of this country.
Why did he die? He failed the Darwin law, buying perks off of Snapchat. I think that's I think that's Darwin's third hidden law, right? Known across the world, though, at this point. Yikes.
While stopping the fentanyl epidemic that will kill more people this year than who died on 9/11, and I refuse to be a passive bystander sitting in the White House like the hollowed out husk of a current president we have. We will step up and address this.
Get out of the basement, Biden.
For Americans and our children.
Somebody get Biden out of the basement. Why isn't he fixing the country? Bro, I fucking love this. This is so glazed. Oh my god, look at this. This is America at its finest. You got like a half. Oh, look at this. This is America right here. Look how glazed this room looks.
I'm going to use the U.S. military to go after the Mexican drug cartels. They are killing our people. And the stories that I've seen in Florida, we had an infant, 18 months. Parents rented an Airbnb. And apparently the people that had rented it before were using drugs. The infant was crawling, the toddler was crawling on the carpet and ingested fentanyl residue.
That can happen anywhere, though.
Are we just going to sit here and let this happen, this carnage happen in our country? I am not going
carnage?
to do that. So I guarantee you on day one, this border is going to be a day one issue for me as president.
Actually, that's unfair.
National emergency. Yes, we'll build the wall. We'll do remain in Mexico. But those Mexican drug cartels
is that story true?
Like the foreign terrorist organizations that they are.
No, they rented an Airbnb. You're not going to sweep the house. I think the kid probably just like... But what? Yeah, I'm a little confused. Like, where did he? I'm assuming it was under the bed or something like that. The story's a little sus for sure, but like I could see it happening. If it's true, that's kind of sad. But like I don't know what it like. That could happen in any country.
$5 billion. Just last month, Vice President Pence, you said if elected, you would repeal all Obamacare
Very
mandates.
generic
However,
story.
you also made that same promise in 2016. And at that time, President Pence, you said if elected, you would repeal all Obamacare mandates. However, you also made that same promise in 2016. And at that time,
is Obamacare still a viable opportunity for healthcare in America? Do you know by any chance, Plop?
For at least the first 2 years, and you did not deliver on that promise. So Obamacare, right now, it is more popular than ever.
Oh, that just answered my question.
Why should Americans trust you if you become president to fix that, or is Obamacare here?
Because Obama is Indonesian, bro.
Let me speak to the mass shootings issue, and then I'll.
He's not even. It's not Obamacare. It's non-U.S. citizen care. It's alien care.
And as a father of three, as the grandfather of three beautiful little girls,
which one is it, father or grandfather?
Sick and tired of these mass shootings happening in the United States of America. And if I'm president of the United States, I'm going to go to the Congress of the United States, and we're going to pass
He wasn't talking about guns, bro.
Expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting, so that they will meet their fate in months, not years. It is unconscionable that the Parkland shooter, Ron, is actually going to spend the rest of his life behind bars in Florida. That's not justice. We have to mete out justice and send a message to these would-be killers that you are not going to live out your days behind bars. You're going to meet justice in this system.
But does that mean Obamacare is here to stay?
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Well, thank you for reiterating the question, because I'd love to answer it. Look, I think it's one of the I think it's one of the choices here.
This guy answered the wrong question.
Actually has a plan to start to consolidate.
Looks like we got a Republican Biden in the chat. All right, good.
Executive branch.
Now it's fair. Each party has one with dementia.
The federal government
okay, I like it. Makes it synonymous.
To the states those resources and programs that are rightfully theirs under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. That means all Obamacare funding, all housing funding, all HHS funding, all of it goes back to the states. We'll shut down the Federal Department of Education. We'll allow states to innovate. We're going to revive federalism in America, and states are going to help bring America back.
Stu, go ahead.
May I remind everyone to keep within their time
She's calling him out, bro. I love it. Good shit, good shit.
This question for Governor DeSantis. Over 26 million
L in the chat.
Don't have insurance coverage. Governor DeSantis.
And say it again.
2.5 million of them are in for Governor DeSantis. Over 26 million Americans don't have insurance coverage. Governor DeSantis. 2.5 million of them are in your state. That's worse than the national average.
Shit.
Can Americans trust you on this?
Pass.
I think this is a symptom of our overall economic decline.
Yes.
Everything has gotten
Blame
more
the
expensive.
country.
You see insurance rates are going through the roof.
Blame the country that you're trying to fix. That's good. I like it.
In Iowa, and she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm having to take things out of my grocery cart when I get to the checkout line because the total goes up so quickly. So this is very real, and people are hurting out there. So
No,
we've got
that's
to
not a
address the
thing.
things out
Wait,
rates are
what the
going through
fuck?
the roof. People that
Trust you on this.
Well, I think this is a symptom of our overall economic decline. Everything has gotten more expensive. You see insurance rates are going through the roof. People that are going to get groceries. I spoke with a woman in Iowa, and she said, you know, for the first time in my life,
Oh, he
I'm
spoke.
having
I
to
thought it was
take,
talking about himself.
things out of my grocery cart when I get to the checkout line because the total goes up so quickly. So this is very real, and people are hurting out there. So we've got to address the underlying problem with Bidenomics, the overspending, taking all Biden's rules and regulations. I'm going to throw
Put
them
the
in
bananas
trash can
back.
on day one. You're not going to have to worry
No
about
eating
that.
healthy
We're gonna
today.
open up all of our energy. We will
Just
be
the Lay's and
energy
Sprite.
dominant in this country. That will lower your
Stick
gas
to the
prices. And what we need to do with
basics.
healthcare is recognize our healthcare is putting patients at the back of the bus. We have big pharma, big insurance, and big government, and we need to tackle that and have more power for the people and the doctor.
And big Wall
relationship.
Street
Why is your
eating our
record in
country.
Florida on insurance worse than the national average?
Our state's a dynamic state.
I already told you, it's the
We've got
country's
a lot
fault,
of folks
which
that
he will
come. Of
fix.
course, we've had a population boom. We also
Without a
don't
plan.
have a lot of welfare benefits in Florida. You know, we're basically say we want to. This is a field of dreams. You can do well in the state, but we're not going to be like California and have massive numbers of people on government programs without work requirements. We believe you work and you got to do that, and so that goes for all the welfare benefits. And you know what that's done, Stuart? Our unemployment rate is the lowest amongst any big state. We have the highest GDP growth amongst any big state, and even CNBC, no fan of mine, ranked Florida the #1 economy in America.
Biden caused inflation and he did it in the basement. True.
Healthcare. Governor Haley, healthcare is the leading cause of bankruptcy for American families, accounting for 2/3 of all personal bankruptcies.
Yeah.
As president,
Walter White knows
how do you
this very
protect
well.
Americans who get
How do you
sick
avoid
from
a Breaking
financial
Bad?
ruin?
First of all, how can we be the best country in the world and have the most expensive health care in the world?
Yeah, what
We
the
had an
hell,
issue.
man?
My mom was in the hospital, and when she was in the hospital, they tried to bring her a couple of Tylenol, and she said, I don't need it. And they said, honey, go ahead and take it because you're paying for it anyway. Why is it that when we got the bill, the insurance company in the hospital negotiated the bill for her without her having anything to do with it? When I am president, we will break all of it, from the insurance company to the hospitals, to the doctor's offices, to the PBMs, to the pharmaceutical companies. We will make it all transparent, because when you do that, you will realize that's what the problem is. Second thing is you've got to deal with tort law. The doctors don't give you the.
My brother's a pharmacist, so he won't make as much money, but
get sued. And then we need to bring competition.
I appreciate
back to
what
healthcare.
she's saying.
Get rid of certificate of need systems and make sure that they can compete. We have to put the patient in the driver's seat. They've been in the back seat for way too long. And once we give the patient the ability to decide their health care, deciding which plan they want, that is when we will see magic happen. But we're going to have to make every part of the industry open up and show us where their warts are, because they all have them, and we need to fix this on behalf of the American people.
And that's what we did.
Do you have a better way in 30 seconds?
Well, yes, we're not talking about the real problem ever. We talk about why
Oh,
we
God,
have the
here we
most
go.
expensive health care in the world. It's because the federal government got involved.
It's
same way
Crip
they did
Lord
with
Doug.
EVs, and they said, we're going to subsidize a particular
Your
kind
favorite.
of software back in 2008 under Obama. And they said, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to make everyone more productive. All of you that are watching have been to a doctor's office when the doctor's got his back to you and their hands on a keyboard. The only industry in the world that's ever absorbed $1 trillion of IT and became less productive, they saw less patients per day, is U.S. healthcare, because they were subsidizing a certain kind of technology. It wasn't about improving healthcare. It was about picking winners and losers. Every time the federal government's involved, whether it's higher education, healthcare, or now the auto industry, things get more expensive and less competitive.
That was a great transition, because we are going to move on the future of education in America. What's the government's role in finding a way forward? The second Republican.
How are we going to get from 20% to 30% level 1 reading?
Is what we want. And are we doing a good enough job teaching our children what America is and what she represents in the long history of the world?
Oh, Reagan used to call America she. Is that why Tim's doing it?
And we are back live at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in the
Look
Air
at that
Force
glazed
One
building,
pavilion for
bro.
the second Republican debate, and let's get back to our questions.
Oh, baby.
Governor Haley. American students, they are in academic
What a
trouble.
beautiful,
They
what a
have lower
beautiful
scores in math and reading.
American-made
There's chronic
building
absenteeism. That's
with
at
a
record
beautiful
highs. And this has even
American-made
been
plane
called education
and beautiful
homicide.
American-made
You say
people.
school choice is the answer, but South Carolina,
America.
your home state, still has not enacted universal school choice, and even the current expansion won't be fully implemented until 20. Trouble. They have local library in the Air Force One pavilion.
I just want to see that building again.
And let's get back to our questions, Governor Haley. American students, they are in academic trouble. They have lower scores in math and reading. There's chronic absenteeism. That's at record highs.
Yikes.
And this has even been called education homicide. You say school
God
choice
damn.
is the answer, but South Carolina, your home state, still has not enacted universal school choice, and even the current
What is school
expansion
choice?
won't be fully implemented until 2027.
Oh.
Parents can't wait 4 years for a fix. So what would you do right now?
Well, and school choice isn't the only answer, but I'll tell you it's not out of a lack of trying that we didn't try and get school choice in South Carolina. What I'll tell you, first of all, is we have to acknowledge the fact that 67% of our 8th graders are not proficient in reading or math. Over 80% of our 8th graders aren't
Yikes.
proficient in history or civics.
I'm part of that.
Recently, they came out and said our
Who's
12
history?
and 13-year-olds are scoring at the lowest levels they've been scoring in reading and math in decades.
12 and
So the
13.
first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure we catch our kids back
The
up.
kids don't
We
want to
have
read
make
anymore.
sure
It's
they can
because of
read.
all this
A child that
TikTok.
can't read by 3rd grade is 4 times less likely to graduate high school. We need to do
Hot
reading
damn.
remediation. We need complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in the classroom. We need to make sure that we have school choice so that there's competition. We need to move all the programs from the federal government down to the states and let states decide what education looks like in their states. And we need to start building things in America again. Let's put vocational classes back in our high schools, and let's get our kids building the things that we know that we can make. When we start to focus on that and really bring in that parental involvement, that's when we'll start to see a difference. But we've got to get parents back included. We've got to quit spending time on this DEI and CRT and instead focus on financial literacy, on digital literacy, and on making sure that our kids know what they need to do to have the jobs of the next generation.
That was a glazed answer. That was a genuine clap. I really like this girl, Nikki Haley.
Are getting high marks on their report cards.
I don't know if she's truthful, but like,
she's
at least
Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than white students.
She's answering
in New
correctly.
Jersey. Would you address minorities first?
You have to address all students. And look, in our
29 points lower. Your state are getting high marks on
The next generation.
On the subject of education, a question for Governor Christie. Students in your state are getting high marks on their report cards, but minorities are not doing well with math and reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than white students in New Jersey. Would you address minorities first?
You have to address all students. And look, in our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice in New Jersey with innovative solutions in cities like Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms
That's
of
not nice. Minorities ain't voting for me anyways.
But let's tell
If they're not going to vote for me, might as well ignore them.
This
Shameless
public
indeed.
school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew are absolutely strangling. They are taking
These guys
the
are going
worst of their
so
members and
hard
defending
after the
them
unions.
rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have
And like
the
what they're
President of the
saying,
United
like,
States-
it sounds like a lie, but it makes sense when you hear it. They're saying that like the unions are basically like cults that are like extracting money and having it like not actually go to the kids, but the teachers are taking it. And I don't like, it could be true, but like I don't fucking believe it coming out of their mouths. You know what I mean?
sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance.
I don't
believe that.
Stranglehold
away from the teachers union every day.
I don't believe that like unions are like not the right way to go, but I do believe that like yeah, unregulated unions is a problem. But these guys want to take unions away, which like doesn't no. I don't think that's a good idea.
They have an advocate inside the White House every day for the worst of their teachers.
Why would paying teachers more be wrong? No, yeah, but that I don't think that's not what he's trying to say. What he's trying to say is like they're stealing money that they're not owed.
To grow your career with the number of mentorship and leadership opportunities.
President Ronald Reagan.
God damn it. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that unions like give teachers the opportunity to pickpocket the union income pool. But I think that's wrong. Like I don't think. I think
And this is
subject of education.
Unions are all about power balance. Exactly. This guy's making it seem like they're not. He is making it seem like only the people that are involved in the union and or run the union have a monopoly over like the power and the finances involved in the union. If you don't have, so you gang up to the wait. Unions are all about power balance. The companies have it, you don't, so you gang up to even the field. Exactly. This guy is not saying that. He's saying that unions are... He's basically comparing unions to corporate companies, which I don't fucking... That's the penguin from Batman? That's how he gets rich? I guess so.
Are getting high marks on their report cards.
Listen to what he's saying.
Are not doing well
listen to what he's saying.
Reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging
I could be
29
misunderstanding.
points lower than white students in New Jersey. Would you
Here,
address
listen to what he says.
minorities first?
You have to address all students. And look, in our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice in New Jersey with innovative solutions in cities like Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms of their proficiency. It can be done when you give people choice. But let's tell the truth to everybody about what this is. This public school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew are absolutely strangling. They are taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day. They have an advocate inside the White House every day for the worst of their teachers, not for our students to be
I don't
the best
believe
they
this.
can be. A president of the United States has to take on the teachers union. I did it in New Jersey, and I will do it.
I believe it's possible, but I don't believe it's happening. But if it is, their response, for the sake of argument, let's say he's right, and like the head of the teachers union is sleeping with the president of the United States or whatever the fuck, and they're embezzling money. His answer to that is damn, wasn't aware teacher unions were so powerful. Meanwhile, damn, wasn't aware teacher unions even fucking existed. So his answer is fucking cancel unions. No, like, two wrongs don't make a fucking right. You should just remove that person who's abusing the power of the union and not following, like, what the union was meant to do. That's what the fucking answer should be. But, like, I don't know.
Curriculum says,
but then again, it is Chris Christie, so.
Develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it.
But you're making up that person. But you're making up that person so you can go after said union? Who, me or him? Oh, him. That's what he's doing. Yeah, exactly. You see it too, right? Yeah, okay. You see, yeah, like, that story is believable. 'Cause it could be true. But I don't know if it's true, like, I don't even know. What would you fucking search? Like, what would you even Google search to fact check that?
But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them? In spite of slavery, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your curriculum
in the United States?
My brain is like breaking. Fuck me.
Florida's new Black History curriculum says, quote, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
Slaves? What slaves? Slaves now? 2020?
You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it.
Slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it, okay?
Many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message?
I don't get.
Says, quote, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said.
Sorry.
This new Black History curriculum says, quote, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
Let me just
First
hear
of
the.
all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris. We are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars, so we need to stop playing these games. Here's the deal. Our country's education system is in decline because it's focused on indoctrination, denying parents' rights. Florida represents the revival of American education. We're ranked #1 in the nation in education by U.S. News and World Report. My wife and I, we have a 6, 5, and 3-year-old. This is personal to us. We didn't just talk about universal school choice, we enacted universal school choice. We didn't just talk about Parents' Bill of Rights, we enacted the Parents' Bill of Rights. We eliminated critical race theory, and we now
The slave
have
thing went over
American
my head.
civics and the Constitution.
Anyways,
in
I
our
guess it doesn't
schools
fucking
in a
matter.
really big way, just like President Reagan asked for in his farewell address back in 1989. Florida is showing how it's done. We're standing with parents, and our kids are benefiting.
Senator Scott, you oppose to these new standards. What is your message for Governor DeSantis?
There is not a redeeming quality in slavery. He and Kamala should have just taken the one sentence out. America has suffered.
Oh, so
because
they
of slavery.
okay. That's okay. That statement was basically trying to say that there are redeeming qualities that would come from slavery. Is that what he was trying to say? Yeah, that's pretty fucking. I mean, yikes.
We've overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision. So often we think that all the issues, you talk about crime and education and healthcare, we always think that those issues go back to slavery. Here's the challenge though. Black families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of our country. What was hard to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the black father out of the household to get a check in the mail, and you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to restore hope, you've got to restore the family, restore capitalism, and put Americans back at work together as one American family. Our nation continues to go in
I was with him until he said restore capitalism.
I can say I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are. We are the greatest country on God's green earth. And frankly, the city on the hill needs a brand new leader. And I'm asking for your
and my dad's
Question for you, Mr. Ramos.
my dad's Santa Claus,
Over
bro.
10.7 million students in over 18,000 public schools nationwide.
That's a statement for sure.
Change their identity without parental notification. Governor Christie told Stewart last week that he would pass a federal law to protect parental rights. Would you try to do the same?
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met two young women early in this campaign.
These guys are so fucking cringe, bro.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is? Even New Hampshire failed to actually pass a piece of legislation here. The very people who say that this increases the risk of suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk of suicide. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty. I met two young women, Chloe and Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy. One of them will never have children. And the fact that we allowed that to happen in this country is barbaric. So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18, and parents have absolutely the right.
Would you try to pass a federal law that says
they're so good? This is why they're so good, because they'll take something serious like underage surgery, which is a problem at like which is a problem at a very, very small level, where like surgeons and like fucking unregistered or like fucking immoral Actually, I don't. The very, very few circumstances, and even then, like, there have been like these surgeries that have occurred after like years of like watching. This isn't something where you go to the doctor and after one fucking meeting you say, oh, I think I want to go from a guy to a girl, and the doctor's like, all right, come into the room. We're already set up. Let's get started. He's using this fucking thing. These surgery stories, but Chloe regrets it. I don't even know if fucking Chloe exists, first of all. But first of all, there's so many details. Like, were they of age? Like, were they of consenting age when they decided that? If they did, that's on them. They're trying to paint this picture where parents are deciding to indulge or give in to a child's like quote unquote cries, which like it's not that. If it's done right, it's done over a long period of time, and there are many tests done before that change in that surgery happens. Like, this guy is trying to make it sound like they're going to fucking surgery Dollarama, and like like, for somebody that doesn't fucking understand, you would be scared to hear that. Like, oh my God, my kid's gonna grow up in a world where they're gonna think it's okay to have surgery, to have a sex change surgery. Like, oh my fucking God.
States absolutely have to follow that through. We stand for parental rights. Yes.
And then, so he starts with being a transgender is wrong, and then he explains why through a fucking story that has no credibility and gives very minimal answers because they only have a minute to vote. He's just like, oh yeah, Chloe regrets having a vasectomy or whatever the fuck it was called. And it's like, okay, but like there has to be more to that fucking story. Like,
in your state,
you can't just leave it at that. That's like saying, so my dad walked into the restaurant yesterday, and when he left, 7 people were dead and there was blood on his hands. Okay, but like, by the way, this is not a true story. My father, this never happened, in case there are any Republicans watching out there. Oh my fucking God. All I know is Chloe's gonna be mad when she hears this. Yeah, Chloe is devastated. She told him in secret not to specifically discuss this during the second Republican primary debate. And Vivek, being the scum he is, abused Chloe's story. Disrespectful.
How it's broken in Washington.
Would you try to pass a federal law?
We stand for parental rights. Yes.
I love this guy so much.
You do not have a law that says parents can't be notified, but you want to be president. Would you try to pass a federal law to say parents have that right?
I think this is a state's issue, but I do want to say something.
Obviously, the answer is
all night long we've been
fucking no for
talking
these
about
guys.
issues about how it's broken in Washington, and I respect all of the people on the stage here for their 100+ years of public service. Thank you. But the reason why we're not talking about education or healthcare or safety being a problem in North Dakota is because we have a business leader. I've got more experience as a business leader than I think this whole group combined. I know I've created more jobs than everybody else on stage, thousands of high-paying jobs that have real meaning. So as a business leader, you come in and you treat the taxpayer like a customer. So in North Dakota, instead of fighting with the teachers unions, we actually created a K-12 coordinating council. Everybody gets
Big boy flex, the necromancer, bro. He's
this is an issue that
Crip Lord Doug is kind of
America really are concerned about, worried
he's
about.
Going for it.
About parents and notification in schools.
Yes, and that's why we have 50 platforms of innovation. That's why we have states. There are certain things the federal government is supposed to do. It's not the Department of Education. That needs to be assembled. We got to move it back to states. Do what we did in North Dakota. Instead of like, oh, here's a choice school and here's an old school, the old way with the teachers union, the kids are trapped. We made every school in North Dakota an innovation school. Every school got out from under the red tape, and the things that help teach the values that we're trying to get, like 4-H, like FFA, like Boy Scouts, they can get credit for all of that.
You know I love the 4-H, but next next. You know I love the 4-H and the schools and the North Dakota, but let's move on.
Vice President Pence, the Department of Homeland Security warns
You're
that
making too much
violence
sense.
against LGBTQ plus people is on the rise and intensifying.
Whoa. Here we go. Let's see what they have.
The Department of Homeland Security warns that violence against LGBTQ plus people is on the rise and intensifying. According to a recent study, members of that community are 9 times more likely to be.
I know, but I'm watching the.
Nothing beats my fucking tea.
This beats your tea.
No, it doesn't.
Yes. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
You're interrupting a recording session.
I deserve to hear my tea. I'm dying to tell you because I can never tell anyone from work.
We're in the middle of watching a Republican debate. Catherine, I've been sitting here for 3 hours. We're only.
You know, I was at a
of violent hate crimes.
Yeah, I know. These Americans, because I could tell from the picture. These Americans, Catherine,
Oh, I texted you. It's a whole
you should watch this shit. It's
No, I need to
so
tell
fun.
You need to pause it.
The debate can wait. Go get the tea. No, okay.
Thank you.
Let me finish this last thought. I've been screaming out of the top of my lungs. I don't even know if I should post this, Catherine. I've been saying some shit.
As president, how would you protect this community from violent attacks and discrimination?
Well, as President of the United States, I'll stand up for the safety and the civil liberties of every American.
Okay.
From every background.
Okay.
And I want the American people to know that. But I want to answer the question as well, Dana, that you just asked Doug Bergen.
All right. There we go. That's a great answer. Period. That's all. I love how nobody clapped for... Nobody clapped because they're not in accordance with standing up for all Americans. It depends what type of American. Are they white Americans? Or are they Americans that perhaps are Romanian looking, like me?
Because by way of full disclosure, Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. So full disclosure. Look, education is a state and local function.
Why is nobody laughing?
The state of Indiana had one of the very first school choice programs.
I think they're mad that he didn't say that he... I think they're mad that he said that he would stand up for LGBTQ rights.
Governor of the state of Indiana.
They're upset. They didn't want that.
To answer your question, Dana, let's be very, very clear. When the Linn-Mar Community Schools in Iowa had a policy where you had to have a permission slip from your parents to get a Tylenol, but you could get a gender transition plan without notifying your parents. I weighed in.
That's so fucking false, bro. You cannot get a gender transition plan. What the fuck are you talking about? In what world can you get a gender transition plan without your parents providing consent? What the fuck? You know those fucking drugs that he was talking about earlier? I think he's on them. The fentanyl? Now we know where all this fentanyl has been going that's been crossing the fucking state lines. Yikes.
Bad policy. That's crazy. We're going to stand up for the rights of parents, and we're going to pass a federal ban on transgender chemical or surgical surgery anywhere in the country. We've got to protect our kids from this radical gender ideology agenda, and we've got to empower parents at the state level with
Sad part is, no, I think more than 20%, unfortunately.
You empower parents, and our schools will straighten up and reflect our values and focus on the basics faster than you could possibly imagine.
Next subject.
Can I just say one thing?
China is investing. If you talk to
China.
everybody,
China. All right. We're gonna stop it here because Catherine has tea. All right, this is part 2. I think this is going to be a 4-part series, bro. Also, I don't know if I should post this because I don't want it to seem disingenuous, but the fuck that these guys are saying is like, yikes. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed part 2. I love you all as usual. And I will see you in part 3 in just a bit. Peace.